So major police activity in Arizona as investigators are leaving no stone unturned in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Last night, a Pima County SWAT team and the FBI searched a home approximately 2 miles away from Guthrie's house. Sheriff Chris Nanos tells Fox News that no one was arrested and no one remains in custody following the raid. Meanwhile, the FBI has released doorbell camera footage from Nancy's home showing the potential kidnapper. Law enforcement describing the suspect as a 5'9" to 5'10" male with an average build. He was wearing a black 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker backpack. The FBI is continuing to ask for help and is offering a $100,000 reward. Joining us now with the latest live from Nancy Guthrie's home in Tucson, Arizona is Max Gordon. Max, what can you tell us?
Hey there, Tommy. Well, there was a flurry of law enforcement activity last night with the FBI and the Pima County SWAT team executing that search warrant just a short ways away from Nancy Guthrie's home. A lot of hope that there would be a major break in the case, but today the Pima County Sheriff's Department saying that no one is currently in custody. This is what that scene looked like last night in that neighborhood in the Catalina foothills, which is just a 5 minutes drive away from Nancy Guthrie's home. Dozens of law enforcement officers were involved, authorities confirming that it was in relation to the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. Then, in the parking lot of a nearby Culver's fast food restaurant, law enforcement searched a silver or gray-colored Range Rover. At this scene, there were law enforcement from multiple agencies, including the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI. Law enforcement loaded the SUV up onto a flatbed and ended up taking it away. This as the search for the suspect continues. Caught on Nancy Guthrie's Ring doorbell camera, he's described as a male between 5'9" and 5'10" with an average build. He was seen carrying a 25-liter Ozark Trail hiker pack from Walmart. Authorities have yet to name the suspect, even as the investigation reaches the 2-week mark. The FBI increasing the reward up to $100,000 for any information that leads to the arrest and conviction of a suspect or for the location of Nancy Guthrie. Meanwhile, the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI say they are working around the clock following up on leads, but no media press conference is scheduled. They say they won't schedule one until a major development occurs here in Tucson. Tommy, back to you.
Max Gordon from Tucson, thank you so much. And joining us now with reaction is former NYPD Lieutenant and undercover narcotics officer Darren Porcher, who is also on the ground in Tucson. Darren, we're so glad to have you. So there are reports that there were 3 individuals detained last night in relation to this case, but no one has been arrested or is in custody. So walk us through why authorities would detain someone if they weren't necessarily a suspect.
Well, thanks for having me as a guest. The reason why authorities were able to detain these individuals is because they had a warrant from a magistrate which elicited probable cause. Law enforcement needs probable cause to apply for and receive a warrant. So based on those 2 components, both law enforcement and the judge, it was an appropriate action. In addition to that, we had a vehicle that was stopped at a Culver, which is a fast food restaurant relatively close to here. That individual was released as well, but once again, it was a warrant that was the determining factor as to law enforcement stopping these individuals, but unfortunately they've all been released. But at the same token, this is not at a loss, because there may have been information that law enforcement was able to extract from all of the individuals involved as we move forward in the investigational process.
Darren, it's Joey. Thanks for joining us. I know you have a title. It might be doctor at this point, I think. I know you've worked hard there. But, this is the question I have. We've all heard people say probable cause. Can you explain to us, I know you're just kind of guessing, but can you explain to us what that might look like? I think it's important to understand, this person happened to be seen on a Ring doorbell at some point in the last 2 weeks. That's not probable cause. Like, what is it? At what level of action or evidence would it take to be able to get a warrant like that?
Probable cause is what would lead a reasonable police officer to believe that the individual in question committed a criminal act or they were a part of a criminal entity. That's probable cause. It's very different than the conviction standard, which is beyond a reasonable doubt. You need beyond a reasonable doubt to convict someone, but probable cause is the standard of proof necessary to take a person into custody to answer for a charge in question.
And that changes depending on the judge signing the warrant, basically? It's pretty much an opinion of the judge?
Well, it's not just an opinion. The judge is looking for supported conclusions to be introduced into the process. The judge oftentimes is going to check the information that's presented to them to determine if this is a reliable source and it's necessary to move forward as it relates to an arrest or a search in particular. So in this instance, we had a search, but we didn't have arrest. However, we did have individuals that were taken into custody, but they were referred to, which we'll refer to as detainees, but those individuals were not arrested.
Darren, it's Julie Banderas. Let me talk to you about the search area, because it seems that law enforcement have been focusing on the same area within a 2-mile vicinity or so of Nancy Guthrie's home for the last week and a half or so. Is that typical in a case like this? And then what would be your reaction to the ransom note that Harvey Levin had mentioned, which hints at possibly taking their search internationally, which was maybe possibly a way to throw off investigators? None of what Harvey Levin and TMZ have received has actually ever been verified. But is it typical to keep this search so close to home?
Well, when we think from the perspective of what's typical, we as law enforcement want to enlist the public as best as possible, because it takes an immense level of man hours to track and go to all of these homes within a 2-mile radius to where Nancy's residence is. So what we did, well, I should say what law enforcement did, was they put out a blast through Ring doorbell, and that alert basically told individuals that lived within that 2-mile radius, if you observed or you captured some level of suspicious or nefarious behavior, please report that to us as law enforcement so we can move forth and investigate this. This cuts down on a lot of man hours, and it affords the investigators the opportunity to work on additional components as it relates to this case. As it relates to Harvey Levin and these letters, I think the corroboration factor is key. You need to corroborate all of the information in these letters before you take them as a credible source as it relates to a ransom note. One of the things that I've seen, which is very rare, unique, actually I want to say I've never seen a situation where a kidnapper introduced a ransom note to a media outlet.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, kidnappers will introduce a letter to the family, and usually it says something like, don't tell police or we'll kill you.
Yeah.
This is a very different scenario.
That's what I've been saying from the very beginning.
We're doing the best that we can to authenticate this.
Yeah, even Harvey Levin actually is saying that he wouldn't pay the ransom based on what he has read, and he's not sharing the entire content of the notes that he's received, but he himself says it would be a bad idea to pay this ransom because it actually could hamper the investigation.
Darren, and you also want to take in consideration, we had a bogus ransom note that came from someone in California, and that person has since been arrested.
Yeah.
So we really want to drill down and make sure that this is authentic.
Darren, this is Dr. Siegel. You know, as a former NYPD detective, you many times had to deal with local versus the FBI, who has jurisdiction. And you said earlier on our air on Kaylee's show that you thought this was going smoothly. One thing that's been eyebrow-raising is where's the evidence being examined? You know, Sheriff Nanos has it being looked at in Florida. The FBI obviously has a really great forensics lab. And I from my perspective, is looking at it from the point of view, is the evidence degrading? Is the DNA degrading? What are your thoughts about why you think this may be running smoothly?
Well, in all investigations, when you have additional agencies, you're always going to have disagreements, and that's fine. Case in point, I worked in the NYPD. Oftentimes, we had joint investigations with the FBI. We may have disagreed on things, but the ultimate course of action was to ensure that justice was introduced. So now we look at this situation as it relates to the Pena County Sheriff's Office and the FBI. The discovery or the DNA evidence has been introduced by the Pena County Sheriff's Office to Florida. I understand that, a lab in Florida rather. I understand it from the perspective of they have a working relationship, and they've had a working relationship with this lab for years and years and years. I want to say 30 years. And if they are going to use the FBI's lab in Quantico, they don't necessarily have that relationship. And the lab in Quantico, they basically would perceive themselves as being on an assembly line, meaning your DNA is on line with all of the rest of the 50 states in the country, so you may not have the ability to speed things up. Whereas if you're interacting or engaging with the lab that you have a relationship with in Florida, you may have some sway in terms of getting this done as quick as possible. As it relates to the degrading of the DNA, the more you analyze it in a lab, the more it becomes degraded. So you want to analyze it as little as possible. I shouldn't say as little as possible, but as less as possible, because you don't want to degrade it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Darren Porcher, for all of that insight, and thanks for taking the time tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks for having me as a guest.
All right, Joey, so I want to take it all the way back to kind of where we started here. A suspect, 5'9" to 5'10" average build. Doesn't exactly narrow it down, but we've been watching that surveillance video all week long. People have been dissecting it. They've been looking at the height. They've been looking at the weight. They've been looking at the backpack. Apparently now they're saying that this backpack could have been from Walmart, or it is from Walmart. What does all of that tell you about how close we're actually getting to crack in this case?
Yeah, I'm going to practice what I preach, try not to be a hypocrite here. I've been frustrated. A lot of analysts that have been on this network and other networks have gone beyond and analyzing what we know and just basically spouting theories. And I don't think that helps. I mean, I've heard, different ones for the last several days. Since the last time we sat at this desk together a week ago, this video is really the evidence that exists. Everything else is conjecture. Everything else is us trying to read tea leaves. So what does this video show? It shows a plethora of little things that, if they can trace them, matter. Where things were bought, brands of things, the height of the person, hair color, all those things they're starting to get to. I think there's a sketch now. We may have a chance to talk about that later, of what their facial structure may be, even under the mask. I think AI, stuff like that, are helpful. But if they're doubling the reward and they're arresting people or detaining them in the middle of the street at a traffic stop and letting them go 12 hours later, I don't know that the police are any closer based on what we know. We don't know what they know, but what we're seeing is they're not getting any closer.
Yeah, something that's surprising to me, Julie, and they could have very valid reasons, and I'm sure they do, for not releasing more surveillance footage. But the fact that this is the only video we have, I think it leaves a lot of questions as to why is there not more video? Why don't we have video, or why has there not been video released? Other angles, the night before. So this is really what we have, and it's a clear video as far as you can see somebody approaching the home. But as far as video evidence, that's all we've gotten.
Right. So on a case like this, obviously, my biggest pet peeve is when a lot of people love to speculate online. I mean, the speculation and the rumors online are out of control. But you stick to the facts and you stick to the evidence. So you've got the evidence of the video, obviously. But what I thought was interesting in the last 24 hours is that they did discover DNA that does not belong to somebody close to Nancy Guthrie in her home. So that means they've tested the DNA of every single family member. That means that the son-in-law has been tested, and Annie, the daughter, has been tested. Obviously, Savannah's DNA, so that they can't confuse it with other DNA found in the home. So they do have DNA that does belong to someone who's not in the close family circle. And that, I believe, will be very interesting. The DNA samples that were sent to Florida, I find to be interesting. Why wouldn't they use the FBI there? There was some talk of possibly Savannah Guthrie telling the sheriff that they no longer really need him in this case because the FBI is doing such an excellent job, but they are also playing catch up.
I thought Darren Porcher gave a great answer to that, one I wasn't expecting. About relationships between the sheriff and a particular lab. But I agree with you, that FBI lab is number one. The other point I want to make here is Joey's point about speculation, excellent. It's way too much of that. Michael Baden, forensic pathologist who's extraordinaire, said to me that he thinks the biggest issue with this case from the beginning is they didn't cordon off the area early enough and get everybody out of there.
I think, and we can explore this. We've got today and tomorrow, but part of it that was pointed out last week when we were on the show is it wasn't viewed as a crime immediately. It was a missing person. And so maybe that had something to do with it.
But they saw blood. And they did say that it appeared she did not leave willfully.
So what I'm getting to here is maybe the instincts in the beginning weren't there. Because it is a relatively safe place. I mean, the one thing we do know is this is like the perfect place to commit this crime because they're not allowed to have ambient light and all their driveways are behind foliage because they want privacy. So you're not going to catch somebody on a Ring doorbell driving down the road because the Ring doorbells can't see the road. So there's all these little factors that we kind of don't talk about that are compiling on this, and maybe a local sheriff, maybe they didn't have the instinct for it. I don't want to demonize them, though.
Dr. Siegel, just real quickly, I wanted to ask you to Julie's point about the other DNA found. what would it take to leave DNA in someone's home? And what I mean by that is, if I walk into my friend's house, am I going to leave DNA if I'm just in there? Like, how sure are we, or how sure from your perspective are we, that if they found other DNA, that it's not just random, that someone was in her house and maybe a hair fell and that was a complete legit reason to be in there? That's what I'm really curious about.
That is a great question. The answer is that DNA is very easy to find. It isn't only on blood samples, it's everywhere. So it's fingerprints, it's anything you touch, and they can date it too. So they should be able to figure out when the DNA was left. And if not who it belongs to, if they find somebody, then they can compare what they found. So it may not lead them to the person, but if they find the person, they can compare the
genealogical search.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.